Hello and welcome to Inked Happiness YouTube channel. Today we have Professor Pitkar from Bombay in our studio, who is an architect, photographer, and pen and ink bottle collector. We are really happy and we can say lucky to have you here with us in Kolkata right now. Hello, sir. So my first question to you is, how did you come up with the hobby of collecting fountain pens and inks in the first place?
It so happens that I used a fountain pen in my school times and then in college and then in my whole life, and nobody stopped me. Because what happens nowadays, a lot of people say, why are you using a fountain pen? It'll spoil the paper, it'll spoil this. So it went on because nobody stopped me and I loved it like anything.
Okay. Um, why are all your exhibitions called the traveling inkpot?
It so happened that I went on collecting various ink bottles, and people think there are only three colors: red, blue, green, something like that. And from 1 to 2 to 5, at one point I had almost 330 ink bottles of different shapes and kinds. And at that same time, I thought, now how do I tell people what it is and where to tell? So, a very senior artist, Sudhir Patwardhan, he had put a traveling exhibition of artworks, because what he said, he took the exhibition to 8 cities in Maharashtra: Satara, Sangli, Kolhapur, Nagpur, and he said that if people don't come to see art, let us take art to their cities, tier 2, tier 3 cities. I like the idea. So I said, okay, if people, I mean, I can't get everybody in my college where they were kept, or my house, which is quite small, how can I get 500 people there? So I said, let me take my ink bottles to places. So made a map of Maharashtra and I found 8 locations where I can take my ink pots and some catalogs and tell people these are inks, and the ink pots were just beautiful. So because the ink pot had to be taken, I said, call it the traveling ink pot, and that's, I like the idea. So that's how it started, the traveling ink pot exhibitions.
Okay. So, sir, how long have you been collecting fountain pens?
Decades. As I said, started using it in school with a simple fountain pen, and when I got my first salary, the first thing I did was to buy a pen out of it, saved some money, and that went on. So from 1 to 2 to hundreds, it just went on and on and on. So since I remember, and of course at some points, if you do sign some government paper which blots or something, you may end up using a ballpoint pen, but otherwise continuously using a pen. And I like the shape, size, aesthetics of the beauty of the pen. I went on.
Okay. So you have seen the fountain pen industry change. So what exactly do you think used to happen then and what is happening now in the industry?
The answer could be in two parts. That one is the international way. There were some famous companies, the old companies, which have been there for almost 100 years: Waterman, Schaefer, Parker, Mont Blanc, and so on and so forth. And we had the Indian pen companies, Matre Pen Company, Camel, and so on and so forth. And it is in the recent past that there are a lot of new companies come up, and one can name quite a few of them, and they are now making pens in India. And it's a proud moment. I mean, we'll be celebrating 75 years of independence just in 2 weeks from now, and we must be competitive to the pen industry in the world. And it's good to know that there are pens made in India now, and we have to be fully competitive with what is made in the Western countries.
Speaking of the Indian pen industry, why are there no designs or innovations worth mentioning here?
Uh, with whatever little study that I have been doing for 2 decades or more on the manufacture of fountain pens, it takes a very long time to design a new pen. Like we have the limited edition pen, I have been following up extensively on Mont Blanc or Mont Blanc, as they would like to call it, and it takes years to design a pen. And imagine if one person is working in designing a pen for about a year, or they said they would take normally 2 years to come out with a pen. So who pays for that expense? And apart from that, there's a lot of research to be done. Now if you are going to have a limited edition pen in name of somebody, or even a good pen, the amount of work that has to be put out, the research, the background, the materials, the design, the style, the aesthetics, all this takes time, and if somebody who's doing it, that is capital cost. And I think we are in the beginning stage. There are few companies making pens now which are kind of designer pens. A huge amount of investment has to be made because the research costs a lot of money. I am not saying one should work on it for 2 years, but even if somebody is working on it for 2-3 months, the costs are quite high. And then you have to test it in the market, it should be able to sell, it should be appreciated by people. But now people here in India are realizing that yes, we also have to get into that design as a important factor in making a different pen, not the standard stereotype kind of pens which look alike any pen in the world.
Okay. So, what is your message for the fountain pen and ink manufacturers of India?
I think they have to look forward to making pens in India which we can say we are proud that this is an Indian fountain pen. And as a design, we have enough of design schools in India, we have enough of creative people in India, and we have a huge history of architecture. I am an architect and teach architecture. We can have pens from the Buddhist era, from the Islamic times, colonial times, and we have got great heritage sites. So we can incorporate any of those designs in pen and say, yes, this is a fountain pen made in India where the world should look forward to it.
Sir, can you say something to our viewers about Inked Happiness, which turns 5 this year?
I mean, I was very happy when I started, following Inked Happiness. It's a great thing because this is a modern way of reaching out to people, the digital, and Facebook, Instagram and all that is the current times. In our times, we had to search, go to libraries, find a book, and it used to take ages to get information. And this has reached so many people. Yeah, and it's click of hand, and you can hear people, and nothing like Inked Happiness. I am very happy about it.
Great, great. Thank you so much, sir.